Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to You'll Probably Agree. We're at the beautiful Halstead Harp where you get to drink and forget about your problems. Over with me is BS, and we got Heather McLarhen. We will be your hosts for today. So, what has come out this week that's worth reviewing? Let's start out with a happy little kids film called Turbo.
My name is Turbo.
Oh, I wish I could rename myself.
You know what? Everybody loves an underdog story. Definitely. I would say this is like the banana slug version of Rocky to an extent. I enjoyed it. It was what it was. It was better than Masters U.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Being there alone and the large contingency of children in there kind of felt pedo a little bit.
Get the pedophiles, 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 get the pedophiles.
It had its moments. It had the common Toy Story aspect, or pretty much any of those DreamWorks Pixar movies,
Right.
where an adult can laugh too, and I liked it. It was solid.
Yeah.
I would say, scale to 1 to 10, I'd give it a 6, 7, 8.
Okay,
Keeping it rhythm.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you need to sit your kids down in front of something to get them to be quiet for an hour and a half, I guess this works serviceably for that, but I mean, it just wasn't very interesting. I mean, it's a standard sports story. If I had never seen a sports story before, this would have blown my mind, but it went through every beat. They weren't particularly interesting going through the beats. I don't know, the movie just felt overcrowded, too. There were so many characters, I didn't know who any of them were. Like, there were all the other snails with Turbo, and then there were like the garden snails, and then the racing snails, and then there were all the people in the strip mall, and then there was like the two brothers who sold tacos, and there was the snail's brother, and there was the evil kid. There were too many characters. We had no idea who any of them were. I don't know. I just don't think it's DreamWorks' best work.
But he overcame it all, and that's the whole point.
They always overcome it all in those movies. There was no question.
And he's like, I'm going to rise above.
There was no question he was going to rise above. That was always going to happen. Always.
It's a sports movie.
Well, yeah, but it didn't do anything new with it. It was just a sports movie about a snail.
I think with this film, it was okay that they didn't try to do anything new. It was a different kind of, it was the same concept, and with the kind of thing it is DreamWorks, and I rooted for the characters. I actually remembered all of them, ironically enough. You know, Bill Hader's French racing guy.
I did enjoy him. He had fun with it.
Yeah. Whoever he was great. I was worried that Paul Giamatti's character just started turning into a fucking asshole.
But that's what he does best. That's his strength.
I know.
The one thing I really did like is that there were actual stakes. Like, usually in this kind of movie, there's that naysayer who's just like, oh, you're never gonna make it, and it seems like for no reason.
You're a snail, not a car. It's in me.
It is not in you.
Says who?
Nature. Mother Nature.
With this kind of film, it was okay if it played it by the book a little too much, if it was a little too cliche. Because the whole time, you know the moment's coming, but you're kind of like, okay, I'm cool if that happens,
It's just, if I were to
I
be
liked
showing...
the characters, I liked the story, and it was definitely a movie where you could see things coming from a mile away, pun intended. But it was still it was a cute film, and it's definitely not something memorable. I thought it was better than Monsters U, which just kind of recycled the same exact plot line from every college film that you've seen, and just kind of threw the monsters in there. Although I thought it was okay.
Really? It was like Van Wilder?
It was like Van Wilder for a G-rated audience.
Like Animal House?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. I mean, you have the dork group, you have the jock group, and then the dorks kind of end up with the jocks. Kind of like, who was that one dorky character from Animal House who wound up hanging out with like John Belushi and all those guys?
I got you. Flounder.
Hey, stop blubbering. When I get through with this thing, you won't even recognize it.
He joined the other characters and kind of became part of the group. Kind of like how the OK, whatever the fuck it was, frat house became sort of like the acceptable group within Monsters U. It was the same exact sort of plot line as that. So for me, Monsters U didn't work that much because Monsters Inc. was really unique, where you had these people come into this strange world, which is our own, but you see it from their perspective.
I mean, but Yes, Monsters U was only okay, but this Turbo was also only okay. It didn't really expand on the sports
But
formula
it
we all
doesn't have
know.
a name to have to like ride behind. It's just kind of a movie.
Well, yes, but that's the problem. It's just kind of a movie.
For kids, and the thing
Yeah.
is a kid doesn't really understand underdog story, and it's a self-esteem booster. You know, it's like kid has to rise up. He's got a D in math, and he's like, shit. You know what? I'm gonna do multiplication all night. I'm gonna
Kids only ever get underdog stories. Think about every sports movie you saw as a child. All those 90s sports movies that they still watch. This is exactly that.
And you still watch it, and
No,
these are
but
kids,
those
and
90s
you just defeated your
No,
argument.
I didn't, because those 90s sports movies have memorable characters. The Sandlot, you remember all those people. But this movie?
Because you were a kid. A kid nowadays might think Sandlot is stupid. They'll be like, that kid needs
Well,
some
that
like
kid has a
preparation
problem
H
and needs
underneath
to-
his eyes. Keeps you looking young.
The kid has a-
I'll tell you what, Monsters U remind me a lot of School Ties
School Ties,
with
really?
Brandon Fraser,
I
with
know.
like, you know, the Nazi. It kind of reminded me a lot of that.
Why?
You know, have you seen Superman 3? It just makes sense.
No, that doesn't make sense.
No, it does. Completely. Watch
No?
it. Watch it. You'll probably agree.
All right, so.
Anyways,
Turbo.
and so would you guys recommend Turbo?
Yeah, if you're a kid, you're a parent, I recommend that over Hangover 3.
Yeah, well, Hangover 3 is a whole different kind of movie, but
I mean, I'd recommend it if you need to get your kids to be quiet and if you need to be in the air conditioning during the hot summer. However, I'd rather stay at home and watch some Disney classics, some good Pixar, some of DreamWorks' past films. So it's okay, it's not great.
I would say it's good to kind of kill off 2 hours, and it's definitely sort of a very sort of influencing film if you want to go for the traditional underdog stories we stated earlier. But overall, it's kind of forgettable. But in the end, it did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be your traditional sports film. It was supposed to kind of have you feel good in the end, and it was supposed to have you root for his main characters and understand where each person was coming from. And I feel like it did that.
Did you cheer for him?
I did,
I cheered for him.
and that's what made it work.
Brought a tear to my eye at the end. Overcame.